Manatees are called sea cows. However, they are more closely related to an elephant. Manatees are very large, gray sea animals who spend much of their time grazing on vegetation in shallow water. There are 3 different species of manatees that live in warm water in different areas of the world. Manatees are animals that can weigh as much as 1,300 pounds and may be up to 13 feet long. While they don't have many natural predators, humans are a huge threat to these creatures. All 3 of the manatee species have a conservation status of vulnerable or threatened and are in danger of becoming extinct if steps are not taken to protect them. Manatees are called sea cows because they are very large, often move slowly, and are often eaten by other sea animals. Manatees are animals that may eat as much as 10% to 15% of their body weight each day. Since manatees don't have gills, they sleep upside down very close to the surface of the water so they'll be able to breathe while they sleep. Mother manatees may nurse their calves for up to 2 years. Manatee calves are able to swim to the surface of the water as soon as they are born. Manatees are very large sea creatures. They can weigh between 880 and 1,300 pounds, which is heavier than the weight of a grand piano. Most manatees are between 8 and 10 feet long, but some can even grow to be 13 feet long. In general, females are longer and heavier than their male counterparts. The largest known of these animals was 15 feet long and weighed 1,655 pounds. These animals are gray. However, they often have different organisms like algae growing on their skin which can sometimes make them appear to be more brown or green in color. Manatees have a very distinct face. Their prehensile upper lip is very flexible. They use this part of their body for both gathering food and communicating with other manatees. Their snouts are also rather short, contributing to their easily recognized faces. Adults do not have any canine teeth or incisors. Instead, they have cheek teeth that often fall out and are replaced without new teeth throughout their lives. There are usually no more than 6 teeth inside a manatee's mouth at any given time. Their eyes are relatively small compared to the rest of their head and are close together. To help them swim, manatees have a large, paddle-shaped tail. Unlike nearly all other mammals that have 7 cervical vertebrae, these animals only have 6 cervical vertebrae. This difference is believed to be from mutation in their homeotic genes. Manatees also have a simple stomach, but are still able to digest tougher plant matter in their large cecum, the pouch at the beginning of their large intestine. In general, a manatee is a solitary animal that prefers to live alone. The exceptions to this would be a mother with her babies or a male trying to find a mate. These animals spend about half of the day asleep. When they sleep, they stay submerged underwater and only come to the surface to breathe, about every 20 minutes. When they are not sleeping, these animals graze for food in shallow water. While they are known for being very slow swimmers, they can swim up to 15 miles per hour in short bursts when needed. Other times, they typically swim at a rate between 3 and 5 miles per hour. The 3 species of manatees, the West Indian manatee, also known as the American manatee, the African manatee, and the Amazonian manatee are all named for the regions where they can be found. In most cases, they live in the oceans, seas, and rivers around the regions for which they are named. West Indian manatees usually stay along the east coast of the United States below the state of Georgia. However, at times, these animals have been spotted farther north near Cape Cod, Massachusetts or New York City, New York. During the cooler months between November and March, numerous West Indian manatees head to the Crystal River National Wildlife Refuge and other rivers in Citrus County, Florida. In the winter months, they can also often be seen close to the warmer water made from power plants found along the coasts of Florida. Amazonian manatees can be found in the Amazon River and its tributaries. This species only lives in fresh water. They are not found in salt water. The West African manatee can be found along Africa's west coast between the Senegal River and the Kwanza River. West African manatees may live as far inland as Koulikori, Mali on the Niger River. This is located 2,000 kilometers from the coast. Manatees eat freshwater or saltwater plants, depending on whether they live in freshwater or in the ocean. Since they eat plants, these animals are herbivores. Some of the freshwater plants they eat include water lettuce, hydrilla, musk grass, floating hyacinth, and pickerel weed. Seagrasses, manatee grass, widgeon grass, sea clover, marine algae, and shoal grass are among their favorite saltwater plants. There are some manatees that will eat food other than plants. The West African manatee eats clams at times, and the Antillean manatee sometimes will eat fish from a net. These animals eat a lot. Each day, an adult may eat between 10% and 15% of the body weight in plants. This means they may eat 130 pounds of food each day, which is as heavy as 13 gallons of paint. To eat this much, they spend much of their day, up to 7 hours, grazing and eating. To gather their food, manatees scoop up plants using their flippers and bring it towards their lips. They have special lips, called prehensile lips, which are split into two different sizes that can move independently from one another. When they bring food up to their mouths, they use the horny ridges on the roof of their mouths along with their lower jaws to break apart the plant material. Unfortunately, these animals face many threats. While some of these threats are natural, humans pose the biggest threat. One common threat these animals face is being hit by a ship. Many of these animals have been killed or injured from a collision with a propeller on a boat. Some who have survived this encounter have large scars in the shape of a spiral on their backs, and others have been completely disfigured from the collision. Many less fortunate ones don't live to swim away from these accidents, and some have even been cut in two by large boats. Some of these animals that are not killed by these accidents can still develop an infection from their cuts, which may still result in death. One possible explanation for the large number of collisions between them and boats is a manatee's hearing abilities. Scientists have found that they hear on a high frequency, making them unable to hear the lower frequencies emitted by many larger boats. Other human-made threats to these animals include floodgates, navigation locks, and other structures in the water. At times, they will get crushed by these structures. Sometimes, they also get tangled up in nets, box traps, or other fishing gear. They may die from this as well. Another threat to the manatees is red tides. A red tide is an algae bloom that is made up of large concentrations of protozoans, unicellular algae, and other aquatic microorganisms that have been brought up from the seafloor. Red tides often occur after a hurricane or other powerful storm stirs up the waters enough. The microorganisms found in red tides are often toxic to manatees and other sea animals. For example, in 1996, a red tide along the southwestern coast of Florida killed at least 151 of these animals. If manatees are in water that is below 60 degrees, their body will shut down, causing them to die. While most of them tend to stay in warmer waters, some may accidentally migrate to a colder area or become injured and unable to migrate to warmer waters before their current location gets too cold. Additionally, Younger animals are very curious and may travel into colder water without realizing it. There are not many natural predators to these animals. While an alligator, crocodile, killer whale, tiger shark may occasionally prey on a manatee, it does not happen very often. This is because these predators tend to swim in deeper parts of the ocean, while manatees stay in shallow waters. Amazonian, and West African manatees share a conservation status of vulnerable, according to the World Conservation Union. In 2017, the West Indian manatee was downgraded from a conservation status of endangered to that of threatened. However, many scientists and other people concerned about the safety of these animals were not happy with the decision to downgrade its conservation status. They did not think that data showing that many manatees died between 2010 and 2016 from pollution, being struck by boats, and dependence on artificially warm water was considered.